Hi, I'm Brittany Rizzo, and welcome to My Only Friends. On today's episode, I have one of my most inspiring guests, Amy Jordan. Amy has been someone I look up to for many years now, and I am lucky enough to call her my friend. She is an entrepreneur, Pilates master, the epitome of strength, and an amazing mother. Her Pilates studio, WundaBar, is a life-changing experience, and I can't recommend it enough. This episode reminds me of the one that could have been. Phoebe reflects back to think what it would have been like if she took a job at Merrill Lynch, and we see her life in the corporate world. Amy took the leap of leaving the business side of the industry to follow her dreams and start her own legacy. This episode was incredibly moving, and I hope it inspires you too to take that risk on the thing you love. Please enjoy my conversation with Amy Jordan. How are you?
I'm good, babe. Congratulations on your podcast.
Thank you. Thank you so much for coming and doing it.
Of course.
And how is you moved? So how's it over there?
I'm in my attic office.
Nice.
It's good. It's good. It's a 100-year-old house, so it's a lot of work, but it's good.
Well,
it's
okay. So first off, I have to tell people that this episode's going to be a little bit different because you had said, yes, I'll come on, but I am notorious for not watching TV. And correct. I am like, it's so funny because there's an episode of Friends where someone says to Joey, like, I don't even have a TV. And he goes, what's all your furniture pointed at then? And that's what I thought of. Cause I was like, wait, you don't watch TV? Like, that's my way of life.
Yes. And I know it's unusual. And you've been to my other house and there was no television in the main room because I was trying to design around something I didn't even use. Like I was trying to create a space where we could watch television for what, do you want me to take that off?
Yeah.
Okay. Jingle, jingle.
Yeah.
I know better than to wear a charm bracelet on recording. Sorry.
It's okay. It's okay.
I'll take off the bangles too, just in case.
And no tambourine playing either. I know that's your passion.
I know. That's why I don't watch TV. I'm so busy practicing the tambourine.
But growing up when you were little, did you watch it?
I did a little bit, but I was always the child who preferred to color and do things. So I would not really just watch TV and that was the only thing that was going on. I would be drawing and it was a running joke that I would be drawing, coloring while, Gilligan's Island or whatever was on. And then the second the TV commercial would come on, my eyes would go up and I'd watch the TV commercials and then I would go back down to coloring. That's
so funny. So you like the commercials better than the actual
I'm a marketer,
show.
Right? So here we are.
That is funny. That is amazing. And then you worked in the industry a little, for a while.
Oh yeah,
right?
For 12 years. And it was the only reason I watched movies or shows was if I was doing research for an actual project. And it would take me 2 to 3 days to watch a movie in order to watch it so that I could do the campaign behind it. It's just never been something that I enjoy doing or that I'm really doing, I guess. I'd rather be up and moving or doing a task that's productive, which, could probably use a little bit of dialing down if we're honest, but
that's so wild. I mean, and I could probably use a little bit more, it's all about balance, right? I should probably get out and do something more than watch 7 episodes of television in one sitting.
But if that's serving you and it's serving you to relax and that's how you decompress, then it's serving you. I like to say that, I jokingly say balance is BS because there's no such thing. There's no such thing to watch the correct prescribed time of television and do the correct prescribed time for, something productive. It's really about investing in whatever it is you're choosing to do in that moment. So if you're investing in gardening, great, focus on gardening. Don't try to do, some other task or take a call while you're doing that. If you're invested in relaxing and catching up on your favorite show, then do that instead of scrolling on your phone, instead of, doing other tasks. Lean into whatever it is you're doing. And that's the way that I find in my own life. That's the way that I find the most peace and the most sustainability rather than trying to do this balance that we're all chasing. That's just not real.
Right. Oh, I love that so much. It's so true. And like, I also find that like when I'm not being present and doing the smallest thing and my mind is elsewhere, I make a mistake, a simple mistake that could have been avoided, where if I just sort of took a breath and relaxed and focused on what was in front of me instead of being so distracted or trying to rush through it, like that would have never happened. And it's like, it seems like so simple, but yeah, as humans, it's like the hardest thing for us to do.
It's really difficult to do. And the, time that we are living in right now, it makes it all but impossible, where you're constantly getting this feedback from our phones, which I call our digital pacifier. I'm guilty of it too. When you're feeling stressed, when you're feeling anxious, when you may be experiencing some feelings that or emotions that you don't want to deal with, we're like, you know what? I think I'll just, log onto my phone and see what's going on in the world instead. I'll look outward instead of looking inward. And I'll look for that feedback. I'll look for that little serotonin, bump with a nice comment, with a text, with, some cute little news story, whatever it might be. Or I'll look to put tension and pressure outwards, like, oh gosh, that's a terrible news story. Or, oh, I really don't like what that person was posting, instead of just sitting in our own space and sitting in our own emotions. My therapist used to ask me to do it for 10 to 30 seconds. And it's harder than it sounds. To just sit and be when something uncomfortable comes up. It's pretty challenging.
Right. And to process it and not have a knee-jerk reaction to it. Like
That's exactly right.
To take,
just breathe.
Yeah, exactly. To take an intake and stock of everything that you're feeling and going, okay, why am I feeling like, because again, it forces you when you are present and still to do all of that. And that's uncomfortable, and people don't like being uncomfortable.
It's true. None of us do, myself included.
Right. So what was the deciding switch to leave the marketing or industry of, Hollywood and go, I'm going to start WundaBar?
So it was a shift of just deciding what I wanted to give back to the world and what I wanted to bring to the world, because I loved my work. Gosh, it was fun. It was so glamorous. It was all of the things that you think about, with the Hollywood life, right? I was working on these massive billion-dollar movies and brands, from Shrek to Spider-Man to Schindler's List, all these really epic, iconic films that I had the absolute blessing to work on, and wonderful people. I have many, many friends still from the industry. And I realized that the marketing angle that I was doing was just not adding anything really great to the world. It was selling things, sure, but I didn't feel like I knew that I was not a storyteller. I was not a writer. I was not a director. I was not, curating this story to create, entertainment or enjoyment or relaxed time. I was simply selling it. That was my role, was sell the t-shirts, sell the movies, sell the DVDs, sell the, streaming videos, whatever it might be. And I realized this is not what I want my legacy to be. This is not what I want to leave as I look back at my life. And I was, the ripe old age of maybe 31, I think, when I made this switch. And I walked into a Pilates class for the first time. I was a little bit younger than that the first time I went into a class. And I felt so strong and so empowered and so centered in my own body and my own experience and my own spirit, that I really had this spark of, what if I started diving into this? And I just started taking classes. I eventually trained up, and the people I trained up with were like, what do you mean? Like, they knew I had a pretty fabulous job. Like, what are you talking about? You want to teach, Pilates? And I was like, no, I really want to do this. And then cut to, several months later, I was opening a studio in my hometown. And at first it was just, a different Pilates methodology. It wasn't WundaBar. So I took some time really getting my feet under me and understanding the industry, doing a real dive into anatomy and biomechanics before I got to the point where I was wanting to launch my own approach to Pilates and to movement. And when I was struck with inspiration to create my own machine that is now the patented WundaFormer.
I mean, WundaBar was like the first Pilates class I ever took. And that machine, like you designed the Wunda Reformer, and I literally would tell people like, no, you don't understand. Like this has like a ballet bar and then you can jump. And then like, I was just like going on and I was like, and then you go around to the back and it has this like contraption. And I'm like, you just have to take it. And like, I have literally sent people YouTube videos of the Wunda Reformer because I'm like, just like, don't understand. Like, it's not like regular Pilates. Like you don't understand. And I mean, I think the last time I took your class, I came up to you and I was crying afterwards and I just gave you a hug. I'm going to cry.
You're going to make me cry. I remember.
But it was just one of those, like you said, where you felt connected and like, I wasn't feeling strong. I wasn't feeling brave. I wasn't feeling good enough in my body. I felt awful in my body. And I took your class and I had been taking your class. Like I've been in and out of WundaBar for ever since I've met you. And in that moment, it was like, wow, Amy is holding me like in this class. I'm going to cry. But it was like, you truly were like, I got you. Like the whole time when I felt like I wasn't strong enough or when I felt like there's no way my body's going to let me do this. You were like, no, you can. And like, you'd come over and you'd modify and you just have this like incredible essence about you that is nothing but pure, just like, I have you, don't worry. And I mean, I'm just so grateful for it. And every time I leave you, whether it's in class or just seeing you, I always feel better than when I did before about my life and myself and my strength. Like I just always have felt that way with you because you're just a big ball of light and I love you.
Thank you, Britt. That is like, gosh, that fills my cup for the day. I so appreciate you.
Of course.
Giving me that feedback. I always love to see you. And that's the legacy that I do want to deliver to the world, right? So WundaBar is a space where everyone is welcome, where everyone is celebrated, and where we aim to allow you to succeed wherever you're at. We're meeting you where you're at in any given day. And that's what I wanted to bring to the world with this work.
Right.
So I'm so happy that that was your experience. And I've had this feedback, more than once about how people feel safe and welcome in a space where they don't necessarily feel that way in other workout classes. And even one of my educators said to me many years ago, she said, I never felt good enough. I've been exercising for years. I never felt good enough. I never felt like I belonged. I never felt like I had a studio or a class in which I was worthy to be there until WundaBar. And that is so important to me about what we curate and what we deliver to anyone who walks through the door at the studio.
Absolutely. And because especially like, especially in LA, it's like you're going into these classes with people who are like, it seems effortless to them. And when you're not like exercise it's a challenge for me. I don't love doing it. When I start doing it and get into the groove of it, I'm great. But making that first step to be like, I'm going to work out. But I think a lot of it is insecurity of being around other people who make it look so easy and feeling like everybody's judging you. And again, with WundaBar, I've never felt that way. And I love going there because there is only 10 people in a class. And it's just everybody is trying just to do their best. And the instructors are also just so incredibly helpful and fun.
I love that. And I think a big difference of what we do at WundaBar is we look at movement from the inside out. So I'm not looking at a scale. I'm never looking at a mirror. I'm never looking at even a measuring tape. I'm really keen on how do you feel when we deliver you back to the world? How does your spirit feel? How do your hips feel? How does your spine feel? How does your core feel? We're looking at movement from the inside out rather than beach body, six pack, like none of this. And we never have been. I know that's getting more and more mainstream, and I'm so happy to hear that. But that's been the approach all along, as you know. You've been there since pretty early on, but that's been the approach the whole time, is how can we better your experience in your own skin?
Right. And what is something that you wish people knew about Pilates, where people are like timid to try it? Like, what is their biggest hang up? Because I feel like a lot of people, like me, are very timid to try new workouts that they don't understand. So what do you wish people knew about WundaBar other than all of that?
Thanks. I do wish that they understood that we've got you in the same experience you had, that we'll take care of you no matter where you're coming from. If you've never done it before, no problem. We've done that a million bajillion times. If you're intimidated by it, great. Guess what? Everyone is. Cool. No problem. Right. If you have a knee injury, if you have low back sensitivity, if you have a shoulder injury, if you have any series or instances of concerns in your health or in your body, we got you. And we know how to modify. My team is very highly trained and we'll take really good care of you. We're never going to have you sit out. Like, hey, you can't do the full, extension of that plank. We'll just wait till everyone else is done. Heck no. It's like, okay, then you're going to do it on your forearms, or you're going to use this box to help support you. You're going to come down onto your knees, but we're still going to get you moving in the same focus. Even if we do adjust or offer. We offer on a large scale to the whole room. If this feels aggressive, try this. If you want more, try that. So even if you're coming in and maybe you are an experienced athlete or you are someone who's done Pilates before, we can spot that pretty readily and make sure that you're getting a great challenge so that wherever you're at, we're going to deliver the best workout that we can for you and deliver you back into the world feeling better than you did when you came in. That's amazing. And you do it. And that's why I love it. How has Pilates changed your mental health? Oh, that's a good one. So I believe that movement heals. And when I make that statement, I mean on the whole. So from a perspective of mental health and your spirit, as well as your physical health, because it's not an exercise modality that is going to beat you up. It's hard as heck. You're shaking, you're sweating, you're quivering, you're thinking I'm never going to make it through this, set of a series of exercises. And then you do, but it also is such an intentional form of movement that you have no choice really, but to go inside. And there are no screens. You're not watching a screen like on connected fitness, like Peloton, where you're kind of your outlook is towards that person teaching you. And it's these lights, triggering your brain. And it's not where you're walking on a treadmill. And again, you're watching your phone, you're looking at a television at the gym. You have kind of nowhere else to go but inside yourself. Wow. And I feel like that is a critical part of how it has changed my experience of understanding how to be quiet. You're also not talking, right? So you're kind of going really internally. You're being asked to connect different parts of your body. If we're asking you to move your hip, we're also asking you to stabilize with your opposite waistline and then possibly move with the opposite shoulder. So we're asking for you to draw these connections inside your body, and then you're building patterns to take out into the real world. Right. Not just while you're inside the room. Which is exactly what I was talking about, where it's like, if I just slowed down and took a breath and was intentional, I probably wouldn't, screw something up or get hurt or make an error in something. And it's so true. Like, I've never thought of it like that, where, with other workout forms where you are looking outside so much. And Pilates does really make you have to connect within. I mean, the breathing alone will get you to go to a deeper place mentally and physically. Absolutely. And I work that breath movement with intention, of course, but even lately, especially in a post-COVID world, everyone's breathing from their, shoulders up. And so we do a lot of intentional breath work when you're in like a secure position, either on your back doing jumping or seated on the chair doing leg presses, where I'm asking for these very long breath sequences, very deep breath sequences. And people are breathing more deeply than they have, if not ever, certainly in the last 3 years. And the change that it affects in their mindset, in the way they hold themselves and the way they're moving is tremendous. Absolutely. And it's just a really important reminder for all of us to get in there and breathe deeply. I feel like, especially during COVID, like, I'm like, oh, I haven't taken a breath. Like, I'm like, did I forget to breathe for a second there? Everyone does. Everyone does. Yeah. Myself included. I'll go through a day and I'm like, wow, it is, 11:37 in the morning and I have not taken one deep breath, because it's like, get up, go, kids running out the door, getting to teach, going to, onto emails, onto your inbox, onto text, news. You just go, 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 go. And it's really important that we, with intention, take that time to take a few breaths. And, you know, I'm working on it in my own life. In the last few years, I've started drinking warm water with lemon and in the morning versus coffee first thing. And I use it also as a reminder to take a few deep breaths. You know, so setting up these kind of habits or rituals to take a deep breath. Sometimes I'm working on my consistency, but I did it today of oil pulling. I don't know if you've heard of oil pulling.
No, what's that?
You swish coconut oil in your mouth. It's pretty nasty. I'm not going to lie, but you take like a spoonful of coconut oil, you swish it in your mouth for like 15, 20 minutes. Not only does it make your teeth nice and white, but it also gives me this time where I intentionally focus on gratitudes and breath. I'll do it in the shower. And it's just a way of the mind to stop racing and kind of, again, you're not speaking. You keep yourself quiet because you got a mouthful of oil. If you set up these habits to find some time to breathe, you're never going to regret taking those few minutes to do so.
Yeah. Yeah. And I definitely have been like telling or like working on that myself of like, especially with doing this podcast, of listening more, speaking less, and just taking in other people's story and information and not being like, oh, I have this, you know, it's a huge, we're so used to just wanting to talk all the time. We think that the talking is where the power comes from, but there's a lot of power in silence and stillness as well.
I agree. And I read somewhere, and I'm trying to get better about the habit where I ask people when they're sharing, you know, a concern or a stress with me, I'm asking, because I'll find myself blurting out advice or input. And now I'm really working on taking the time to either A, just be quiet and listen, or B, ask, do you want me to listen? Or are you looking for ideas?
Right.
And I find that gets me to check myself.
It does. Now, speaking of breath work, I remember you and I were talking about both of our health, and I was like, when people would ask me questions, it's like, I don't know. I just take things day by day. And you were like, day by day, breath by breath, like minute to minute is how I have to take this. And so, are you willing to talk about it?
Of course.
Okay. You had cancer, cervical cancer, correct?
Correct.
Will you talk about your mindset during that time and how, because look, it's so hard for me to talk about it without getting emotional, and I could imagine for you too. But I just remember whenever I would go through something where I felt really, really weak and defeated, and people would tell me I was strong, it would make me so mad. And I don't know if you had that same thing, like, you're so strong, like you're the strongest person I know. And you're like, but I'm not. Like, let me be weak for a second. But I have that thought. And then I have the other thought of like, but no, Amy is so strong. Like, so like, I don't even know how to say it, because I've always looked at you as this pillar of strength and like just beauty and light. And so, you know, when you had told me that is what was going on in your life, I was like, it broke my heart, but I was like, I know that Amy is going to be okay. I just know it. How did you feel during that time? I can't imagine it was knowing you were going to be okay in the beginning.
I believed I was going to be okay, but we did not know for certain.
Right.
And I had to express that to my children. And that was the most challenging part, to be honest with myself and with them about the fact that we did not know what the outcome was going to be. So I was thrown into it. So for your listeners, I was diagnosed with an aggressive and rare form of cervical cancer in June of 2020, right in the smack dab middle of the pandemic. And all of the studios were closed, and my two children are homeschooling at the time. They were kinder and third grade. And so it was just basically almost an overnight diagnosis. And for anyone listening, if it's not TMI, too bad if it is, maybe mute yourself for a second, but there was unexplained bleeding. And I think it's so important that, especially as women, when there is something that is unusual in our body, we get it investigated and taken care of rather than ignoring it. because had I ignored it, we would not be sitting here today without question. So I went to the doctor. He said, I don't like what I'm seeing. This is my OB of 20 years. I don't like what I'm seeing, but let's just get it checked out. And within, less than a week, he called me, and it was the first time he'd ever called me from his cell phone. So I knew something was real wrong. And he's, said, I'm sorry to tell you that you have cancer, but don't worry, it's cervical cancer. This is often, relatively pretty treatable. We're going to get you to an oncologist. And so the first oncologist had it dead wrong, totally not misdiagnosed, but missed the most important part of the diagnosis. Of course, I got a second opinion, and my just incredible oncologist that I ended up being treated by, she caught it straight away. She was empathetic. She was wise. She was kind. And 6 days later, I was receiving my first chemotherapy, and it was a 9-hour chemo day. Ooh. And it just went like pedal to the metal straight away. So honestly, I didn't have much time to really truly process what I was going through. But what I will say is that I had and have an incredible tribe of friends, and, a lot of women and men too, but I have an incredible tribe around me that allowed me to be weak when I needed those weak moments with my trusted people in that experience. And I chose not to try and feign strength, but to know that I believed that I could get through this until I knew otherwise. So I chose that I was going to believe I'm going to get through this. I'm going to work my butt off to get through this. I'm going to rely on people around me who can help me. I'm going to rely really heavily on my faith. I'm going to rely on movement. Couldn't always move, couldn't move every day, but the days I could, I would. Yeah. And I think that the notion of breath by breath is critical, because if I would have looked at this whole perspective, this whole probably somewhere around 6 to 8 month journey, if I would have tried to be like, I've just got to get through this 8 months. Oh my God, so overwhelming. 90 hours of chemo, radical hysterectomy, 25 days of radiation. And then add on top of that, all of the extra ER visits, all of the extra surgeries, all of the scar tissue surgeries, things that I was not aware were coming. Right. Way too overwhelming. And when you're in the depths of a healing crisis or of a disease, the way that I was presented with, gosh darn it, one day was definitely not doable at a time, because it felt like I couldn't get through the hour. Right. And that's where I kind of came into this mindset of, okay, I just have to make it through the next breath. I just have to make it through the next breath. I just have to make it through the next breath. And that was something that was incredibly useful to me and allowed me to focus on my breath, which then in turn mitigated the stress and the pain and the nausea and all of the other things that I was dealing with, because it took the focus off of that and put the focus onto what I could do, which was breathe.
I love you.
Intense.
I love you. And how is your health now?
Amazing. While I was doing my oil swishing this morning, I was acknowledging gratitudes for the strength of my body to be standing in the shower. There were times where that was not feasible. I have a pretty intense day ahead of me today. And, it's easy to get caught up in like, oh my God, I can't believe I have to go here. I have to drive there. I have to do this. I have to do that. And instead I chose to focus on, man, am I stoked? Studios are open. I have classes to teach and clients who are showing up. I have kids who are back in school and I'm not homeschooling them. And so, yes, I'm happy to go pick them up. Right. I have friends in town. And even though it's making things busy, it's a business partner friend that's visiting in town. And I'm very happy to see them for coffee today. And so it's just a mindset shift. Instead of, oh my God, I have so much to do. How am I ever going to make it through the day? I should be so lucky. I should be so lucky that I get to instead of have to, or, oh my God, I can't believe I need to.
Right. And because, there was a time where, you wished you could have done all those things and you couldn't.
Killed to teach.
Yeah. Right. How long could you not do Pilates for?
Well, the studios were closed, but there was a short window in July. We operate in California and New York. There was a short window in July in which the studios were operational. sort of, with masks and all the things and half capacity, but they were open. And I was devastated not to be teaching and not to be connected to my people. So I was still teaching live via Zoom whenever I could. We would sync it around the chemo treatments. So like I had 21-day stretches because I was doing 15 hours of chemo per series. And so there would be a 21-day recovery stretch. And so I would know that I would probably be okay to move that last week. So I was teaching Pilates. There's many videos without a hair on my head. We even shot some like professional videos so that I could continue to connect with movement and with the people in our community. And so it was off and on. It was just off and on for those 8 months. But I will say that it took at least a year and a half, 2 years before I really felt back to normal.
Yeah.
Close to 2 years.
I could imagine it's like a singer being told they can't sing anymore, or an actor being told they can't, speak anymore. How did you hold on to your identity during all that? Because Pilates is such a big part of who you are and the people who you're connected with. So what was the main thing that really kept you in touch with who you still were at your core?
I think that I had to recognize that we're all more than one thing. And when we identify too strongly with our work or with our appearance or with our habits, then that can be a really unhappy place to sit in because by no fault of my own, that was taken away from me.
Right.
It was taken away already with COVID. I could still kind of keep doing it at home and it was still kind of my jam, right? But then it was taken away with cancer that was basically a fluke. There's no reason. We've done genetic testing on the tumor. There was no reason that should have been my journey, but it was. And I think that I had to lean really hard into surviving for myself and for my children.
Yeah.
And to make sure that I did everything in my power to stay, on earth with my children. And I have a very dear friend. My lifelong best friend is a life coach. And prior to even being diagnosed, we had this conversation where she was explaining to me that our essence is who we are. And it's not the list. What I refer to as the paper of who we are. And it's easy to get caught up in that paper. So people love me because I teach Pilates, because I throw nice dinner parties, because I'm a mother, because I look a certain way, because I do a certain thing, because I have a certain talent. That paper is not what it's at, where it's at. It's not what it's about. People love you for the essence of who you are and how they feel around you. Yes. And that's in your essence. And that is not on your paper. And I was in my 40s before I understood that, because I thought people liked me or loved me because of what I was delivering on my paper.
Right.
And so thankfully I did learn that, but I learned it in a more much deeper level. Right. When that paper was pretty much gone.
Yeah. Wow. That's an incredible way to look at it. Thank you for sharing that. And
it's important, whether we're in a crisis or not, to recognize that it is who we are and not what we do.
And now I know this might be like, at what point did you find gratitude for what you went through? Or did you at all? Because when people go through really, really hard times, hindsight is 20/20. And I look back at things that I've been through that were literally my rock bottom. And I go, I'm so grateful that I went through that. I would never want to go through it again. Like, you couldn't pay me all the money in the world. And, thank God that I got through it. But I look back and I'm grateful because it got me so much more connected to myself and opened my eyes to what was really important, that it is about my essence, not the piece of paper. And I was just, wondering how, if you got to that point, like where you were grateful for it at the end of the day because of what was on the other side of it.
If I'm really honest, Britt, I don't know that I can say I'm grateful for it. I definitely have some takeaways that have changed the way I see life. And And that when you're staring death in the face the way that I did for many months, we really didn't know how this was going to go down until probably, 3 or 4 months in. And when you stare at death in a really sincere way, it changes the lens you look at life. Right. So it puts a filter on life now that has created, I think, more empathy, more patience, more openness, less judgment. So I think there are positive things that I've been able to take away from it, but I don't know that it would be real to say to you, yeah, Britt, I'm really grateful that happened. I am not. No, I wish it had not. But I do see that there are positive takeaways or learnings from that journey, but I wouldn't say grateful.
Yeah. Maybe grateful is like a bad term for it.
Oh, I don't think so. Just in my own experience. Yeah. In my own experience.
Now, what is the most useful piece of advice you've gotten for your mental health? And what is the most useful piece of advice you would give to others? So
something I liked to use since we're kind of right on the heels of the cancer conversation, something that was incredibly helpful to me was this concept of caterpillar soup. And you maybe have heard me say this before, but when we think about a butterfly, you think like, oh, it's this caterpillar, it goes in its cocoon and it magically emerges. But the fact of the matter is it disintegrates. It's painful for the caterpillar. It thinks it's dying. It's dark. It's solitary. And then only after it goes through this super dark, difficult, inward, solitary, disintegrating, tearing down everything you thought you had, only then do you emerge with wings. And I feel like that was a crucial piece of advice when I was in the throes of this healing crisis. And it was a visual that I held on to know that there was more on the other side. Even though I was focusing on breath by breath, you do want to have this notion that after you get through all those breaths, there is something on the other side. Right. And so I think that would be advice that I've received and that I also would want to share a little 2 for 1.
When you are, because I'm like, you don't watch TV. So I'm like, but I know when you are at the studio and you're teaching, you play the best music. So is there a song?
I'm so excited. I get seriously teased for my top 40 music selects.
I love top 40.
Me too.
It's the best. Is there a song that you're like, I know, like if you're having one of those days where you're like, okay, I got to find the strength in me. I'm a little tired today. I don't know. Is there a song where you're like, this will always make me want to just go?
As far as like working out
or changing your mindset or like an instant, mood change.
I don't know. As you're asking me, I'm like looking on my Spotify, like liked songs playlist that has like a million bajillion songs. Yeah. There probably are some songs that viscerally take me back to certain memories. And I don't know that I go to this song and play it all the time, but every time I hear it, like, yes, I went to a Lenny Kravitz concert many, many years ago. And I had some really great seats. It was like on the floor of, I don't know, Staples Center or the Forum or something like this. And he walked down the center floor aisle to Let Love Rule. And it was like such a powerful, visceral experience. And if memory serves, I think it was pretty a cappella, where the music was either very low or it was just the whole audience singing with him. And, everyone clapping to the beat and everyone on their feet. And the whole message of Let Love Rule was so powerful. And it just felt like such a positive collective energy. And I think that I know that music has the power to do that. And I do constantly have music going in my home. And one of the general thrusts is that it has to be positive music. There's no negative themes tolerated, certainly with young children. There's not a lot of, rough language in the music. And, we do play, this is a good one. This is a good answer. It's hard to get up in the morning for all of us, tired. And, for us, we get up pretty early to get to school. And I would say at least 2 or 3 days a week, we are playing Lovely Day by Bill Withers.
Oh, I love that song so much.
It's just while the kids are getting dressed and I'm in the kitchen kind of, pulling together breakfast and lunches and things, I'll have that playing on a speaker. And it's kind of this invitation for all of us to choose a lovely day.
Aww. I love that. And that's something that they're going to, as they get older, they're going to remember, like, I remember every morning my mom would play this song before school, and they're always going to hear that and be like, that's my mom.
That's my mom. That's it.
Today, I love that.
Today in the car, just for another fun one is, they had me play I Like It Like That by Pete Rodriguez. And so we were dancing.
That's so fun.
Pretty loudly in the car on the way to school. So I think that it doesn't always have to be necessarily the same song, but with that intention of how can we pump ourselves up?
Right.
We listen to The Best Day of My Life. I think it's American Authors or something. We have this we have these series of songs that we'll play together and invite us to have a great day and have a fun moment together.
I love that. And you have how many studios now?
There are 10, but top secret, I'm about to sign a lease on number 11.
Top secret. Do I have to edit that out?
No, it's okay.
That's amazing.
Yes.
That's so exciting.
It's really exciting.
And you also you came out with another piece of equipment, the WundaCore resistance ring. So what inspired that?
That was a tool that I created to help deliver the experience we have in studio with my hands or with my amazing team's hands, adjusting you, helping you find the most out of every move, squats, planks, abdominal curls, whatever the case might be. It's basically meant to replace a trainer's hands so that you can find your core in every exercise, even a squat that everyone's like, oh, a squat's all about gains in your booty. Like, well, here's this. Sure, you can do that, but you can also condition your core.
Right.
At the same time. And so the WundaCore resistance ring is all about providing that feedback and that proper alignment and biomechanics, #science, right? And get you in the best form so you get the most out of every exercise. None of us want to exercise more than we have to. So let's get the most out of every minute. And this tool helps you to do so. And we've been it's been in use in the studios for about 4 months now. You can get it on Amazon. You can buy it on our website. You can buy with Prime. There's lots of ways that you can get it. You can get it in any one of the studios. We sell it on site, but it is a tool you can use for HIIT workouts. You can use it for yoga workouts. You can use it for Pilates workouts. You can use it weight training. I have team members that use it with their boxing coaches. So there are ways to use it and just get the most out of whatever exercise form you like to do.
Yeah, that's the one thing that I also loved about WundaBar. It's like, the classes were 45 minutes and people think like the longer the workout, the better. And it's like, I've had classes or gone to the gym for a couple hours and I don't feel like how I felt when I left WundaBar. In 45 minutes, I literally have muscles hurting I didn't even know I had. And did we work on this part? Like, I don't remember that. And it's a head to toe experience. And I swear to God, when I'm there, I feel taller.
It's true because we've aligned your posture properly so that you actually are standing taller than when you walked in.
I need to come back.
Please do.
Because I'm like 5'1". I need to at least look 5'2". Stretch it out.
And that's the magic of how we approach movement. My team and I is that everything is head to toe. The little catchphrase is that the scalpel is for the surgeon. So you'll see on our schedule, there's none of this abs and ass nonsense.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. You're working head to toe or you're not working properly, in my opinion. Let's get it handled efficiently, effectively, and properly so that, again, we deliver you stronger. We deliver you feeling better, standing taller, feeling amazing in your own skin. But it's all about those compound movements, meaning you're working everything together instead of like, a little hip thrust. And then your arms are checked out because you're holding your phone. Ridiculous. Like, no. Put your phone in the cubby. You can deal with it for 45 minutes. Probably a good thing. A good thing.
Yeah.
and get yourself internally focused so you get the most out of every minute you are exercising.
Mm-hmm. So we've talked so much, and you have, talk about being present. I've been so present in this conversation because it's like when people are willing to get vulnerable, then it allows you to go deeper. And then it's just this like give and take of just a beautiful conversation. And I'm so appreciative of how open and honest you've been, and your kindness, and all how informative this has also all been. And so my last question for you is, what has been the most rewarding part of being an entrepreneur?
I don't think anyone's ever asked me that. Can I give you a 2-part answer?
Absolutely.
All right. So the first thing that came to mind is time. Now, I think we all know that entrepreneurship is a 24/7 experience, and that is entirely true. However, it allows you and affords you the opportunity to craft that 24/7 to fit and suit your life. So I am able to focus a lot of time on my children, which is my focus. For you, it might be your focus on yourself or on your family or on, a charity or whatever it might be if you have not chosen to have children or not yet. But for me, it's allowed a lot of flexibility for me to show up at fundraisers, at plays, being the one in line in school pickup. I know I joke about what a hassle it is, but I like being there. And so I do work late at night. I do work on the days that I do not have my children at home. I co-parent with their dad, but we share our time with kids. So it allows me to kind of, like I was talking about earlier, really make this is focused work time for these, given hours this day or while they're in school. And these are my focused kid hours. Mm-hmm. So being an entrepreneur allows you to craft that schedule exactly as you see fit, rather than being on someone else's schedule. Number one. So that's the number one, like, magical bonus of being an entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. And number two, this was a bit of a journey, is the sense of self and sense of confidence that is built from being an entrepreneur. When I first started WundaBar, I had just come out of entertainment. I had been teaching Pilates for, a couple of years. I'd have to look at exactly the timeline, but it hadn't been that terribly long. And there was a lot of this internal, what is now referred to as imposter syndrome of, who are you to create your own machine, to create your own approach to Pilates? You just started this, you knew. Mm-hmm. And I used to feel this intense pressure or need to kind of convince everyone that it was great, and convince everyone that it was going to help their body, and, plaster any press coverage we got on the wall. When you first came to the studios, there were articles everywhere, 17 magazine, People magazine, E-News, all over the walls. There's not any of that anymore. We've taken it all down because I've been able to take the time to grow and build in my own confidence, and in the confidence of, I know exactly what we're delivering. I know that it is fan-freaking-tastic. I know that my team is the best team in the business, delivering movement, empowering humans in their own body, caring for people, serving people in a way that is gold standard, second to none. And we don't need to prove that. We just show up that way. Yeah. And it speaks for itself. And that was, a painful growth at the beginning, but it is something that I'm really proud to have. And that is a journey that I'm grateful for, that I don't know I would have had I not gone out on my own and just stayed, in a fun, fulfilling corporate environment, but one that wasn't delivering this level of challenge, growth, and positivity that we were sharing with the world. And I say we because it takes my team in order to execute that.
I love that so much. And that's such an amazing accomplishment. And I'm just so happy for you. And one of my favorite quotes that I've come across is like, you can't force people to change. You can only inspire them to. And that kind of reminds me of like how you were saying, like, you're trying to get all these articles and this and that. But then once you just started being and started knowing the worth, the confidence, and how incredible what you have built was, it attracts the right people. And then you inspire more people to do the exact same thing. And like I said, I'm always inspired every single time I leave you, no matter if it's on a personal level, in a workout right now. I'm like, I think you're amazing.
Thank you, sweetheart. I really am so grateful that you invited me to have this conversation with you today. I'm so proud of you for going out on your own and starting this podcast. I know it's a lot more work than it looks like on, the listener's end, or even just the person and the journey you've taken. And I'm just so proud of you and happy of where I see you sit now versus where I've seen you, in your journey to get here.
Thank you so much. I know you've really seen me through a lot and vice versa. And I'm so lucky. And I know we don't see each other in person all the time, but I just always feel your love, and I hope you feel mine coming right back.
Absolutely. There's an Allie and AJ concert this spring. Let's go.
Oh, say no more. Are you kidding me? Gosh, let's go. That's one of my biggest highlights is you taking me to an Allie and AJ concert and me just being like, wow, I'm on the Disney Channel right now. That's just what I'm going to tell myself. Like, wow, I'm working out next to Allie and AJ. This is truly iconic.
I got you, girl.
All right, Amy, I love you so much. Thank you for doing this, and have an amazing rest of your day.
You too. Great to chat with you.
Bye.